check, mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
I'm just going to do audio test with the first question.
Okay, but hang on. I just got because
We can just do a mic check just to see if I did do this right.
I can't remember now. There's a lot of things, but
No,
I've
right.
done a lot of ads in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarette commercial, but it wasn't a photographic shoot, and that's what we're talking about. Okay, but that's 2001. Anyway, okay,
All
great.
right,
Okay.
Audio check.
Yeah.
Audio check.
Sorry, I shouldn't have coughed into the mic.
Sorry.
Hello. Oh, look, I look all right.
Beautiful. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, babe?
I'm very nervous for some reason, darling.
I want to talk about your modeling this evening.
Okay, well, I'll talk to camera.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First question.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Stylander February 2026 cover.
Right. Yes.
Where's the photo taken? When is the photo taken? Who are you wearing? Who are you modeling? Who did the shoot? What's the photo about?
Okay. The story of this photo.
Yeah.
So it was, look, this photo is from 2016, and that's now 10 years ago. So I was 45 then. And it was taken in Fiji at First Landing Resort, which is in Vunda on the western side of the island. And this is very historical resort where it is, because apparently this is where the first Melanesians in Fiji set foot. Anyway, we all know this history, but that's something else. But it's taken there in around December 2016 for an in-flight magazine article about Fiji fashion and designers, etc. So yes, I'm wearing Naina, and this is one of her signature pieces, a wings kaftan. It's just a short kaftan that can be worn over swimsuits or as a top or as a dress or whatever. And this photograph actually has not been published before, because even though the other photographs in this shoot, which features in February's Stylander online, including some retro shoots about Naina, featuring Naina. This one wasn't featured because it was considered a bit risque. All the other photographs in this shoot were featured. They're all really nice photographs and featuring other designers, not just Naina, but this one, yes. So I thought, well, look, about time. And I thought it was quite symbolic because of the shower, etc., etc. So if you are an astrologer, in terms of that you understand astrology, then, February is the Aquarian month. So I thought it was an appropriate photograph to finally use as an editorial or a cover. So that's it.
And who did the shoot?
Oh, that's
who
right.
Shot
I forgot.
This? Who shot this?
I photographed it because I'm quite used to taking photographs of myself, and I'm quite known for it. And I have been employed to do such things, etc., etc. So, yeah.
Amazing. All right. Question 2.
Oh my gosh, I have broken out in a nervous rash. Oh my gosh.
You okay?
As if I haven't been doing this for like 40 years.
I know, right? Okay, question 2. When was your first shoot?
Okay, I was 13, and so 1984 was my first shoot. And I was asked, I have talked a lot about this in What Was It Like, the series, and when I started talking about my career, etc. But I haven't gone into depth about this. So it was, I was spotted by a journalist called Renu, and she herself was a top model of the times. And she was a journalist and a photographer, and she was the one who photographed this shoot when she and Debbie were the editor and journalist for the fantastic supplement for the Fiji Times. Now, Debbie is a known journalist in Fiji still, and Renu was for a while. And so they photographed this for a hair shoot. It was a hairstyle, and I remember it was quite, it was an elaborate thing that I got made up, and I felt very special that they thought I was, able to, convey the message of whatever it is, blah, 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 etc. So that was my first shoot. And unfortunately, it didn't get printed because when the editor of the newspaper found out that my father was a politician, and so that got vetoed. And look, good, because I was only 13, and I don't think it's right. So that was my first shoot. But that wasn't what I consider my first professional shoot. That was just my first shoot. Oh, also, they were around this time, there were photographers, like, what were they doing photographing us now? These old white males, like, I'm sorry, what are they doing photographing to his credit, he wasn't sleazy, etc., but he liked to photograph my friend and me because we were extremely fashionable, and then our
Sure.
photographs got used in like Fiji faces. So it wasn't sleazy at all. It was just showing, look at the modern faces of Fiji. And so these were quite really cool photographs. But that was it. And that wasn't a professional shoot either. But these were my first shoots around 13, 14.
When was your first professional shoot?
Okay, 1989, I was 18, and this was for an iconic fashion house in Fiji, Fiji's first big fashion house, really. And it's still an iconic name. The history of it is, really relevant to modern Fiji. And so yes, I was asked to be a face for the house. The heir to the name had taken over, and she chose me to be a face for the house, and that was my first shoot. I was picked and asked by her, and the name in modeling at that time in Fiji in 1989. So that was my first shoot. It was for Tiki Togs, and it was done by Ian Rolls. Art something, I can't remember the media agency, because there were a lot of media agencies in Fiji and in the world at that time, when actual human imagination and people did things. But anyway, and so yes, it was fantastic. What I really remember from that first shoot was Ian Rolls, who he's not in the world anymore, but Welsh person living in Fiji, and his family, etc. There. Telling me I wasn't going to be a good model because I don't take direction well. I'm like, oh gosh, So I was very insulted, but I took it to heart, and I understood that that's what I had to do. So that was my first shoot, and for the catalogue for Tiki Togs, and look, it's very old styling, etc., as you can see, and I'm not entirely comfortable in my because I'm 18. I feel like when you look at your young self, it's like, God, you're such a newbie. But that was my first shoot, not my first gig, but that was my first shoot.
When was your first pro gig?
The same year, and for the same house, Tiki Togs. It was the runway show, which we called Catwalk back then, hence
Right.
cat. I'm sorry, I'm being very, what is it they call it, meta, but I'm just representing the times. And besides, it's sparkly. I like it. And I talk quite a lot about that in What Was It Like, which is another program. And I do talk a lot about my career there. But just in case anyone thinks that's solely because of my career, no, it's really about the times and what someone like me represented in those times. Just a zeitgeist, This photo is where I'm standing with the top models of the time, and it's a very dancey period in fashion, the 80s and 90s, and we're dancing to Put a Little Love in Your Heart by Annie Lennox and Al Green. Loretta, she was Miss Hibiscus in 1981, and I'm standing here with her, looking at her with such awe and respect, but also holding my own. And look at how fabulous she looks. This was my debut, so if you're going to ask me about nerves, I can't tell you, I can't remember. Gosh, I'm really blue stealing it here, because, look, this photo best describes it. Let's first of all talk about this outfit. It is so what I would totally wear today. Anyway, so that was my first professional gig, the runway show for 1989's big runway event, big catwalk show of the year. I don't know what to say. I don't know what my name is. I don't know what the day is. Oh my God.
Your top 3 best shoots.
I just realized this was recording. My top 3 best shoots. Okay, so these are my top 3 shoots that I have had to narrow down to 3. Excluding the shoots that Dwayne and I have done that he has photographed of me. And we'll talk about that later because it's really fun. And
that's another video.
That's another thing. And we've had some really fun times and been photographed by others as well. So, okay, my top 3 shoots. I'm going to have to start with 1991. And this was also done for Tiki Togs and for Tanya Whiteside, the heir of the Tiki Togs house, when she took over and her eponymous label. And it was a wonderful shoot done on Tombirua Island and photographed by a Californian photographer by the name of Alan Harris. And Alan and I are still friends today. And it was an incredible shoot for this reason, not because of, well, the photographs were beautiful, just jewel-like colors of that collection, photographed like in the jewel, luscious, vibrant colors of the island, Tombirua Island, of Fiji. Fiji is just beautifully luscious. And so this was a great shoot for me, and the ones I have chosen as my top three, because of what it taught me as a model in a group, how to hold your own, but also how to equalize, and so that everyone shines on each other, so that no one is pulling focus and detracting, unless of course it's a competition. I don't do competition, so I've never been in that scenario. And Alan was also, we did some, photographs of our own creative shoots, as you can see. And not when I say creative shoots, I mean shoots, photographs outside of what we were photographing. And that was the collection for for Tanya Whiteside. And I learned a lot about light and framing, etc. And as I said, mostly about how to hold myself in a group without detracting from the group, and without also not so how to hold my own. So it was great to be able to learn that, and so that was my first choice. Number two, I will choose 1998, and it was a shoot I did with one of my all-time favorite photographers and a good friend of mine, and someone we have featured on the Stylander in the iLens section, Isabelle Messelet-Ndina, French photographer who lived in Fiji for a long time. And as if you read her profile in the Stylander, you'll see that I have photographed her daughter. So it's like it comes full circle. Excuse me.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So this is a shoot we did in 1998, and it was entitled the exhibition was called Muse, black and white, and it was done at Scott's Hotel, which was semi-abandoned, and this is an old hotel in Suva, and it was just all velvet banquet, settings, cubicles, and wood detailing panels, etc., with mirrors all over the place, and it was just black and white. It was a black and white shoot, and I had been drawn on, just to make it look like mehendi, but it was done with a marker, and by an artist, and it was just a really lovely just shoot, just to like, it was really lovely. I really loved it. I just remember it was a beautiful shoot. So that's my second favorite shoot of all time. That was by Isabelle for her Muse exhibition. And my third one, okay, if I've had to narrow it down, it's definitely the cover shoot for this incredible magazine from Fiji in 2014. That was very short-lived, but very incredible. That first issue especially was incredible, and I was honored to be asked to be on the cover of this by the young people who were putting this magazine together, who were all creators. And this shoot was done in Sydney, and I was photographed wearing the top Fiji designers, and it was styled exceptionally. And it was the styling assistant is an exceptional artist by the name of Atong, who is just globally known now, and I believe based in London. The stylist also, who was the editor of the magazine, well, they also are a bit of a personality in the region. And the photographer, I don't know if he's photographing anymore, but Eli was the photographer of that shoot, and he was honored to photograph me. And as a veteran, I was honored that the photographer was honored to photograph me.
Sure.
And the chemistry between all of us was beautiful. And the shoot was done in a really cool part of Sydney. And everyone was buzzing. It was lovely weather. And the spectators were like, ooh, what's happening? This is all so fantastic. We were all, not just me, but the photographer and the stylists were also fantastic looking people. And it was just a really, really pleasant memory as well, but a fantastic shoot. One of my favorite shoots, really. So those are my top three shoots.
Number 6. Worst shoot.
Oh, goodness. Look, I don't really I don't like to badmouth people, but I just think that sometimes some truths need to be spoken. So the worst shoot Unfortunately, both were done in Sydney in recent times, and both were done unpaid. So I feel I can talk quite freely about this. And both were done for social enterprises. So I didn't want to complain too much because you don't want to be seen as being, so vain when you're doing something for charitable reasons. But look, okay, so this shoot actually we'll talk about in our when Dwayne and I talk about the shoots we've done together, because this is a shoot that we were photographed together in. And it was lovely because it was people who are not just veterans, but not veterans, yes, veterans, but celebrated people of the fashion industry in Australia. And they all had given up their times for this social enterprise from Papua New Guinea, and everyone was doing this incredible thing, and I was asked to supply models, and I had put forward, my husband, because he's beautiful, and I have been photographing him since 2018. So, and they said, yes, yes, please, we'd like to photograph him, and can we, can we photograph you? I'm like, okay, great, fun, okay, sure, yes, of course, I'd love to be photographed. And we were dressed by top Australian designers, which was supposed to be the accessories to the social enterprises product, which is sold to raise money. Now, look, it was beautiful, and I loved the makeup because I don't like a lot of makeup. By the way, I need to talk about this. The makeup I'm wearing was all made for me by my husband, using just charcoal. So this is. I will talk about that later, but this is all made for me by my husband, who's never made this before. He's just an alchemist. But anyway, coming back to what I'm talking about. So the makeup on the shoot was good, but I do remember the photographer was quite amazed that I was untouched, natural. And that is the death knell in the fashion industry. And I do believe I had said that out loud to you, darling.
Yes.
And, that, oh, I said this out loud, like, oh, natural. Oh my God, you mean ugly? Oh no, oh my God, he's going to photograph me in such a way as to make me look natural as possible. Oh no, no. So every time I try and shift my face, because I know my face, I have been modeling for a long time. And also around that time, I'm still deep in the throes of healing. So I do also know that my face is showing that I'm not quite. Anyway, but I also know my face, and I do know that for a long time, I have been photographed as a personality. So when you photograph me, you've got to photograph me as a personality. And I'll explain that perhaps another time or later, whatever. But this shoot, look, the photographs really disappointed me. And it's quite sad because I was wearing such beautiful garments by Australian designers, and I was photographed with my husband. And there was a shoot that did look, there was a couple of photographs, and perhaps I've been a bit harsh, and I'm so aware of my privilege that I very rarely complain if I feel that it's my natural self has been taken advantage of. But I did say something. I did say, look, I'm not happy with these photos. They make me look rather, well, they don't portray me in my best light. I don't want to look different to what I look like. I don't want to look young, whatever that means. I don't want to look, photoshopped or whatever, etc., etc. I just want to look like me. But I don't want. But that also means accentuating my best bits, so that the bits that I do know that aren't quite so whatever right now do get also pulled up. As I said, shine on one and shine on the others, right? So, but I feel like I wasn't photographed like that for this shoot. So that really hurt, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, we've been taken advantage of, and perhaps that's not what their intent is, but this is what their insularity is. If you don't know how to, and unfortunately, white people do not seem to know how to photograph brown people or black people without fetishizing or blackifying, brownifying, us. It's very strange.
Yeah.
So I don't know, perhaps in the 90s they were able to, but they haven't been able to do that with me here. So until you came along, my darling. So this is true. It was very disappointing for me because I thought, and everyone's like, oh, this is so beautiful. You look so beautiful. I'm like, that's not what I look like. Is that what you think I look like?
Yeah.
That's what's very
That's right,
disappointing
yeah.
for me. Like, that's not what I look like.
Because he was directing you.
And I'm like, no, don't. He was directing
Yeah,
me.
so he's a photographer, so he's supposed to know what he's talking about, and he's doing it on purpose.
As a photographer myself, I would always try and accentuate
Absolutely.
someone. When I photograph, I accentuate the subject. I accentuate the person I am photographing. I do not try and impose my vision on someone by making them bend to my vision.
And people have asked you, can you please photograph me properly? Because they have been photographed terribly, and you always photograph people.
Well, yes. Well, I
Beautifully.
managed to bring them out, not what they portray. So anyway, that's different. That's my photography. So this shoot really disappointed me for that. As a photographer, watching a fellow photographer, like, you should understand and you should respect what I'm saying, because as a photographer, I know what I'm talking about in how to enhance your work as well. As a model, I know how to enhance a photographer's work because I am also a photographer. And as a photographer, I am an artist. So
100%.
this is why that shoot really disappointed me. Anyway, do better. Wait. All right.
Most memorable shoot.
It was for Sports Illustrated. I believe
Cool.
1997 for the pouch and arch models. And I'm like, oh, well, at that stage, we didn't really do that in Fiji. Yes. Okay.
Best runway.
Best runway. Okay, now I'm panicking because I can't remember. Actually, look, I've only ever been on a runway in Fiji, so all my runway moments are in Fiji. It's a real pity that it's, the world has missed out on my runway glory. Anyway, catwalk glory, I should say. Bring back the catwalk.